Sometimes it might seem like it, but actually being single is not the worst thing in the world. You could, for instance, be in a bad marriage. It's not all good, it's not all bad. Singleness is a mixed bag. This week, I want to talk about the best and worst things about being single. Hey, this is Todd. Welcome to the Thrive Singles Podcast. Whether you're single again or still single, stop hating being single and learn to thrive. And welcome back for another week of the Thrive Singles Podcast. You know, marriage can be great, or it can be a soul-killing grind. Likewise, singleness can be great, or it can leave you feeling unloved and unattractive. Whichever situation you find yourself in, it will be whatever you make of it. Like I said, being single is not the worst thing in the world. Some things are much, much worse, like being in a bad relationship, for example. In fact, I can honestly say that once I got over my initial shock and got the hang of being single, I was happier being single than I was in the last years of my marriage. Being single is a mixed bag, though. Let's talk about a few of the best and worst things about being single. One of the best things about being single is your time is your time. I remember a commercial for a sitcom that debuted while I was in my second singleness. I think it was called Rules of Engagement, and it followed the adventures of a married guy, an engaged guy, and a single guy. I actually never watched the show, but I loved the commercial. The dialogue went something like this. Married guy. I just remembered. My wife says I got to stop at the store for something. Engaged guy. Oh, that reminds me. My fiance needs me to go check on the caterer. Single guy. Yeah, that reminds me. I have to go do whatever I want, whenever I want. And that was my favorite part of single life. If I wasn't at work, my time was my time. There wasn't anybody there to demand my time or demand that I do this or that. Wasn't anybody there to judge me for how I used my time. Went to sleep when I wanted, woke up when I wanted. And man, those were some of the most creative times in my life. I could lavish as much time as I wanted on my creative pursuits without having to feel guilty that I was shortchanging somebody who needed my time. But one of the worst things about being single was that there wasn't anybody there to touch. I hated that lack of physical touch. I'm a very touchy-feely person. I crave physical touch. That made being single very difficult. Let me be even more specific. That meant no sex. Being a Christian, sex wasn't an option for me. I can't lie to you, that was difficult. I know a lot of Christian singles who've compromised in that area, and it was only by the grace of God that I didn't. But His grace is sufficient. But that doesn't mean it was easy. One of the best things about being single is that your stuff is totally your stuff. You always know where the TV remote is. It's yours. It's right where you left it. The toilet lid stays in whatever position you prefer. It's yours. It's in whatever position you left it. You want to drink milk or eat ice cream out of the carton? No problem. It's yours. Nobody's going to judge you or complain about it. Nobody eats the last slice of pie you were saving for dessert tonight. Nobody uses all but the last few sheets of toilet paper and leaves you 2 or 3 sheets with no fresh roll in reach. Your world is totally customized and personalized for your maximum enjoyment. But with freedom comes responsibility. One of the worst things about being single is that there's nobody there to share the load. There's nobody there to pick up that slack when you're not at your best. You have no safety net. Man, every time I got sick, I had this recurring vision of me dying there alone, my decomposing body not being found for days. You're alone. You have to do it all. Nobody's around to take care of you when you're sick, to pick up that grocery item you forgot, to take a turn taking out the trash or vacuuming the floors. There's nobody around to get you a new toilet paper roll when you run out in the middle of your paperwork. You are responsible for everything all the time. Okay, one of the best things about being single, especially if you're an introvert like me, is lots of alone time. When you live alone, you get lots of me time. Lots of time when you don't have to impress, feel obligated to, or entertain anybody. You're free to read, be creative, binge watch a series, stay in your pajamas after your day off. Nobody's there to judge you for it. Of course, that's a two-edged sword. There's nobody there to judge you because there's nobody there, period. One of the worst things about being single is so much alone time. It gets lonely. Sometimes even us introverts get tired of being alone, eating alone, sleeping alone, and coming home to an empty house. There's no denying it. It gets old sometime. But even the worst parts of singleness aren't that bad. And there are things you can do to make things better. Like you can counteract the lack of touch by, shaking hands, hugging your friends and relatives. You can also pet their dog or cat or get one of your own. That can help counteract your loneliness too. Just don't overdo it and become the crazy cat lady. One dog or cat should suffice. Also, lots of singles I hung out with slept with these body pillows that they curled up with. And I know these things, the cats and dogs, the body pillows are all, poor replacements for the touch of a companion, but they do help. As for having nobody to share the load with, well, that helps teach you self-reliance. You just might surprise yourself with what you discover you're capable of. And that puts you in a good position to not be desperate, not rush into a relationship because of some need. Plus, if you do marry in the future, you'll never take your spouse for granted. You know what it's like to not have them around. And as for being alone a lot, go back and listen to last week's episode. Learn how to get connected and plugged in with people and groups. Yes, you'll still come home to an empty house. But the fellowship and camaraderie you get from making those connections with quality people will help you thrive and make your single life better. So, till next time, take time to appreciate and enjoy all the best things about being single. And maybe try a few things I suggested to counteract some of the worst things. And as always, till next time, thrive on. I hope you enjoyed this week's podcast. See you next week. Till then, be sure to subscribe and go check out my extensive archive of past posts at thrivesingles.com. And thrive on.
Whoa, thrive. Yeah, come alive. There's more to life. You gotta grow, you gotta thrive. Whoa, whoa, you gotta thrive. There's more to life than to just survive.